All of you who are watching this channel know that I make content on the Canon M50, filmmaking, and creativity. And most of you who are watching this channel know that I'm married. And a lot of you know that I have children. And probably less of you knew that I have 5 children. But what probably very few of you know is Alessandra. Alessandra was my wife and I's first child, and she was a twin. That was one of the most exciting days of our lives when we went to get the first ultrasound and found out that we were having twins. But unfortunately, that was some of the last good news that we had about this pregnancy. First of all, my wife was super sick, and we thought it was just natural pregnancy sickness, but it went on for a long time. And then when she was about 25 weeks, we went to get another ultrasound, and we saw a lot of anomalies in both of the twins. Both of their livers were really enlarged, they had calcifications in their brains, their heads were very small. Basically, they had a lot of symptoms of a virus called cytomegalovirus. Unfortunately, there was nothing we could do about it. They developed this way, and for the next 10 weeks, we got weekly ultrasounds until week 34, day 5 of gestation, and that is when we realized something was happening. We knew that Alessandra had a heart condition, and so we were already planning on going up to Duke, and we were in the midst of transferring our care up there because we wanted both twins to be together and not be separated at 2 different hospitals, because that just would not have been good. We finally got to Duke, got into the ER, and they did an ultrasound to check on the twins, and we found out that our son had passed away. We went back and forth trying to figure out with the doctors whether or not we should do a C-section or let Alessandra gestate longer and give her a better chance since she was only 2.7 pounds. Long story short, we ended up having to do the C-section, and they were both born May 6th. For the next 4 months, we stayed at Duke until Alessandra was big enough to get her heart surgery. She had what's called a coarctation of the aorta, which was one of her main valves in her heart, was smaller than it should be. She had to get a drug to keep her PDA, a secondary artery, for gestation open so that her blood could flow through her body until she was big enough that they could repair the aorta. And we finally got to surgery day, and they did one final ultrasound just to make sure of everything before they took her back, and they found something remarkable. The coarctation of the aorta was completely gone, and the only surgery that they ended up needing to do was a PDA ligation, closing that valve that they'd been keeping open, which was a much easier surgery, much easier on Alessandra, and we were very thankful for that. After the 4 months that we stayed there, and after she recovered from her surgery, we finally went home. She was drinking milk by mouth. We ended up not needing to put in a G-tube at that time, and even though she was behind, she was developing. Now, I don't know how many of you know about microcephaly, but basically microcephaly is where the brain and the head are small. She wasn't able to develop normally. She would kind of hold herself up a little bit when she was lying on her stomach, but she never really crawled, but she never really developed past this point. At that point, we got enrolled in a program called the National Academy of Child Development, which specializes in helping brain-injured children to be able to develop past what they naturally would be able to do on their own, and that started to help. She started to develop slightly more. She was able to kick herself on the floor better, but unfortunately even that was short-lived, and she started to have seizures. And basically what the seizures did is that every time her brain developed, made connections between sensory input and her brain, a seizure would just come along and knock out that development. Also, because of the seizures, her development regressed so that she was no longer able to eat by mouth, and we had to again get a G-tube. Unfortunately, her seizure activity has continued to get worse, and she started to reflux, and we ended up having to replace the G-tube with a GJ tube, which has a tube going both into your stomach and then one going through your stomach and attaching to the inside of your intestines, bypassing the stomach so you don't have as much in your stomach to reflux. After that, she did pretty well for a while, with only the occasional pneumonia or cold really giving us much worry. At the beginning of this year, things started to go downhill, and she was getting repeated pneumonias, repeated sicknesses. She no longer could breathe all the time on her own, and we were more and more often having to use a ventilator to help her breathe. And so in June, we finally decided that it was time for a trach. And some of you may have seen my video about the 50mm f1.8, and that video, I was actually in Chapel Hill for that trach surgery. And out of 90 days in the June, July, August range, we spent about 37 of them in and out of the hospital. And that was why for a month, I didn't produce any content. And this brings us down more to where the channel is. And the reason I have been missing and not consistent in my posting, Alessandra, over the past probably year and a half, has continued to go more and more downhill. And I have not been in the position or the mindset to create as much content, which is kind of hard because I've been trying to expand this YouTube channel as a business so that I can spend more time at home and more time closer to home so I can be more available. I don't want this to sound like I'm complaining. I just want you to know that if I'm inconsistent with my uploads over the next few months, this is why. And I have been blown away by the support that you have given me and the community that we've developed. People commenting on my videos or getting in contact with me on Instagram, asking me how I'm doing. It's been amazing, and I am grateful for every single one of you, and I want you to know that. And I want you to know that this YouTube channel, though it may be on the back burner right now, this is not over, and we will continue to build this community to help you in your journey with creativity, and I hope you all will hang on with me as I go through this difficult time. I know this is totally different than the content that I usually produce, but in case you didn't know, this channel actually started as a family vlog talking specifically about Alessandra. My first 13 videos were all about her and about the family, and that's why it's actually called the Crowley Crew, because I thought Crowley Crew was a great name for a family vlog. And since then, I just haven't wanted to change the name. Thank you for watching this video as I sort of poured out my heart and I told the story of what my life is actually like. If you would like to support this channel and me, there are a few ways that you can do it. Number one is subscribe. The other ways you can support me is by using the links down in the description. Those are affiliated links. There's also a new YouTube applause button where you can give direct monetary thanks to the channel, and then I just set up a Patreon. There's only one tier at the moment. With that, you'll be able to message me. It's a much easier way of messaging back and forth, and I'm also intending to hone my writing skills by writing some content that you guys will be able to read over there by becoming patrons. And if you guys want to do that, you can go to patreon.com/thecrowleycrew, and that link is also in the description. Thank you all for watching this, and I'll see you all in the next video.